Hey everybody, real quickly before I begin, I am hosting a giveaway. I'll be giving away a young adult fantasy novel, to be determined. I'm going to pick it up today. But all you need to do in order to possibly get a free young adult fantasy novel sent directly to your home in time for Christmas is to go to my website, that's carly-stevens.com, and sign up for my mailing list. So right now you have a really good chance of winning, and even if you don't win, you still get some free chapters of my debut novel, Firian Rising, that comes out this summer. I'll be drawing names on December 15th, 2018. So if you're watching this video after that, unfortunately this giveaway has finished, but good luck to all of you who would like a free book. Okay, without further ado, here is the video about how to ace your midterm or final in English. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly Stevens and this is English Nerd. So as I record this, it's the first week of December, and so that means that midterms are coming up sooner or later. So I wanted to just give you some advice from the perspective of an English teacher about how to ace an English essay, even if you don't know what the exam prompt is going to be. So this again works for high school or college. So here are some helpful tips. You can actually prepare for an exam essay even if you don't know what the question is going to be. So obviously, number one, you need to know the basic details. This should go without saying, but I'm just going to say it anyway. So know the characters' names, know the basic plot, know all those basic essential things. Be able to tell somebody the story using names and specific information. This will probably come in handy with short answer type questions and all of that as well. So just have those ducks in a row, look back at your notes. More specifically about the essay, the way that you can prepare for that is by looking at two things. Number one, identify the most important scenes, maybe choose 3 turning points or something. Identify the most important scenes in the work, whatever it may be, the novel or the play, and look back at those scenes. If you have the book, look back at them and figure out details about that scene. Don't just know generally what you remember from reading it or what your teacher said or something. Actually know details. Can you paraphrase that conversation? That kind of specificity. So know some details from those key scenes. Any prompt that you're going to get about that book should have something to do with the major turning point scenes. So that way you'll come prepared with information that you can use for a variety of situations. So that's the first thing you should look at, those key scenes. Number 2 is consider any major themes of the work. So if your teacher has talked about appearance versus reality, or the gender roles in Othello or something like that, then identify places within the work, and these might be the same as those key scenes, but identify places in the work where you can specifically point out those themes and how they're playing out in the novel or in the play or in the poem. That is going to be enormously helpful as well. Just having those 2 key pieces of information, specific information about the themes and where those play out, and then those key turning point scenes, just having those things will give you a lot of fodder for writing a really great essay. Okay, so that's all prep leading up to the essay itself. So here you are, you're sitting at the midterm or at the final, depending on when you're watching this video, and you look at the prompt. You need to read the prompt super, super carefully. One of the places where my students sometimes will lose points, unfortunately, is that they'll look at the main question of the prompt, which is great, of course, and they'll answer that, but they'll forget that additional piece of information that I asked for. Or say the prompt requires you to pull information from the beginning, the middle, and the end of the work, and they only pull information from the end because it's freshest in their mind. Make sure that you look very intentionally at all the pieces of information in the prompt so that you can actually give the information that your teacher or your professor is looking for. Somewhere at the very beginning of your essay, you should have a thesis statement that directly answers the question or questions in the prompt. I have a whole video about thesis statements. I'll link it below if you're not sure what those are, how to put those together. But you should have some kind of claim that answers that's your way of answering the question of the prompt. Have that right up front. Otherwise, the grader is going to look at this essay and be kind of adrift, wondering where you're going with your argument, and that part should be absolutely clear. Here's how I answer the prompt, and then, of course, in the body of your essay, you'll give those reasons why you think that that's the case. You'll support your idea. After you've written the entire essay, just finishing up this bit about the prompt, once you finish your entire essay, if you have a couple extra minutes or even just 30 seconds, look back at the prompt and make sure, do a mental checklist. Have you answered all of those pieces? Have you done all of those things? If you haven't, then add a sentence or two somewhere in your essay and make sure that you have actually addressed all those pieces. Okay, so finally, some thoughts about the organization. What are some things that you absolutely need to include, and how should you support your idea? Now, all of these, you might be thinking, gosh, how am I supposed to remember all these things in the moment? They're all pretty simple. Just start getting in the habit of having this be the checklist that you use for any test essay. This can go for AP, this can go for take-home essays. Any essay about literature should include these things. So, at the beginning, of course, you should have that thesis statement, something that very clearly answers the question. And also, within the first couple sentences, you should give the name of the work and the name of the author, even if it seems really obvious. This is just basic literature writing etiquette. You have to tell us what work you're writing about, even if, you're telling us about Hamlet, and obviously it's from Hamlet by William Shakespeare. It's just good form to always include that right up front. That said, keep your intro really short. The grader is not going to be that interested in a fascinating introduction if you don't spend the majority of your essay actually answering the question itself. Obviously, you have your thesis statement, you've answered it, but you need to prove that your answer is correct, and that's what the majority of your essay should be. So keep your intro really short. Most of your essay should be answering that prompt and supporting your thesis statement. Keep in mind that a claim is not evidence. If you say something like, Roland from Song of Roland was a very courageous French knight who followed the rules of battle, great, okay, that's true, but you've only still made a claim. You haven't actually proven it or shown any place where that plays out. So this is where you can bring up that research that you've done, that preparation that you've done, and give those specific instances where we see turning points with the character, where we see those themes playing out. So actually give specific evidence. Be as specific as you can. Prove that you've read this thing and didn't just cliff note the basic plot. Yes, you should reference the plot generally, but if you don't have any specific details, then you really don't have much of an argument at all. So make sure that you do pepper in those specific details, and always make sure that they are proving the thesis statement that you have at the beginning. Otherwise, what you have is just a variety of disconnected scenes and pieces of information that don't actually lead anywhere. And you need everything to support that overall idea. So that's pretty much it. Just to recap, you can prepare beforehand. You need to look very, very carefully at that prompt, and then make sure that you have solid evidence to support your answer to that prompt within your essay. These seem like really basic pieces of advice, but if everybody followed these, I think grades would generally go up. So I hope that this was helpful for you. If you have any additional tips for how to ace an exam essay in English, then by all means, put those suggestions in the comments down below. If you haven't subscribed yet, definitely do so. I post new videos on Mondays, and so I'll see you then.